So Ref MJ from NJ says that sources say Dave Meltzer will soon tell the cult of Tony that there's ratings fraud and they should hand count the numbers of people watching. He was overheard saying he thinks both eyeballs should be counted, so a person with 2 eyes count twice. Tony God? Dave Meltzer calls historically low AEW Rampage rating almost inexplicable. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's not because it sucks. It's not because there's always now there's just no explanation. So there's always an explanation, but when you run out, now there's no explanations. You know what I'm saying? Dave is just like, nothing I can
giving up. I don't know what else to do. Tony, I'm out of excuses.
Just tapping out, man. I love it. Jesus. Uncle Dave is struck again. So this guy, British Wrestling Mark, says other things are factors, but that was the biggest factor. Seriously, how did we let this socially awkward freak become the face of journalism in this community? True that. And this guy's called British AEW Mark, but shout him out. So Meltzer goes, because the smart people will read this and say, and guys, we pointed out, what does Dave and Ibu both say? They both do the same vernacular. They go, because the smart people will tell you, the dumb people will tell you. The idea behind this, it's just hacky, corny.
Obviously, you don't read.
Yeah, the best guy is Tony Khan. Read this and say, yeah, that's pretty much it. And the dumb people will cry on Twitter and never learn. So, I don't know, man. Dave is just real coping over here and thinks he's young and hip with the clap back.
We're literally watching a brain just disintegrate in real time. Like, this is what happens when your brain just physically disintegrates.
We covered this before, or no, we haven't actually. Here, sorry. So Dave Meltzer responds to Joe Del Buso, who says, no, AEW lost because they don't cater to casual wrestling fans, and that's okay. Something Dave sees as 5 stars isn't necessarily something a random dude from Hoboken or Winnipeg. Great pulls for names, too, because that's so true, dude. Hoboken or Winnipeg might see the same way. WWE has a much bigger market share and audience to work with. Casual wrestling fans have a certain amount of time to dedicate to this each week. They'll obviously pick what they're used to. And this is in response to Meltzer coping, saying AEW lost because they got out-promoted. Other things are factors, but that was the biggest factor. So it's always just some bulls. They got out-promoted. It's like, well, I thought this is big, bad, $250 million Tony Khan, more money than any promoter before him. So what are we crying about here, right? So Meltzer responds to this and goes, oh, you heard a podcaster who has no... So now he just like comes in with a preconceived notion that this guy's regurgitating something, couldn't formulate this clear logical thought on his own that we all formulate on our own. Okay? So Dave goes, oh, you heard a podcaster who has no clue about history of number 2 promotions historically? So Dave knows the history of number 2 pencils and number 2 promotions.
The Dixon Ticonderogas, that's what they call.
So, you know, Dave is the all-seeing eye of number 2 promotions historically.
All-seeing nose.
Yeah, and then he goes, they were either misleading you or lying. Also, WWE doesn't cater to casuals either.
What? You what?
I fucking tell all of... What do I tell all you, dude? Tony Khan, Dave Meltzer, their vision, there doesn't align. WWE does not cater to casuals is the funniest thing ever when that's all these people say. WWE caters to casuals. It's like McDonald's. You just eat up the brainless slop.
Right?
Oh, so they're not doing that, Dave, and they're telling great stories then? Like, what's the opposite of that, I guess? Or what are they doing then? Just obscure stories like calling Frank Mortis and joking about him being a lawyer and talking about storylines you and Tony Khan texted about, and that is catering to casuals more. Not saying that Dave said that. I'm not going to straw man an opinion over there. Like, it's not like he said AEW caters to casuals, but you know that's what he thinks in his mind. Well, casual fans will see the clips and the flips and think it's cool, but they don't. They look at the moments and the stars and the larger-than-life characters. So you take WWE, you're going to tell me now that Dave doesn't align with all the sickos for years that he basically has brainwashed into thinking that WWE caters to casuals, which they objectively do. But it's not like this is some brand new notion. Like, everybody understands this. They're mainstream. Mainstream caters to casual. Casuals, we already know it. We covered it on the show. All the sickos, the same ones who defend Dave Meltzer, will tell you, oh, watching WWE is like only listening to top 40 music on the radio. And they consider it the casual viewer experience. They call it McDonald's. McDonald's is all about the casuals. In fact, every business that's successful is about their casuals.
Funny how that works.
Casuals are the lifeblood of industry. Quote Phil Marks on that. I invented that. Casuals are the lifeblood of every industry, especially entertainment. But anyways, this though is literally trying to tell us the casuals. No, like I'm a hardcore mark, but clearly WWE caters to the casuals. Clearly, or else they wouldn't be doing the business they're doing. There's a reason why the buildings are sold out. It's not like all of those people are hardcore wrestling fans. So WWE's catering to the hardcores, and AEW is doing what then? It's so dumb. They're ass backwards. They'll say anything. They'll say anything to get out of any position. And as Dashing Purpool just said, Dave basically just buried AEW, calling it number 2. Exactly, man.
It's great.
It's just gaslighting. It's hilarious that he always just himself. Like Meltzer always just puts his foot in his mouth. But continuing along, he goes, their booking is assuming everyone is a regular weekly viewer. No, their booking isn't assuming that at all, Dave. Their booking, oh man, I'm going to own Dave. I'm going to cook him. What does Dave and all these geeks want to complain about? For years. Oh, there's too much packages and commercials and the replays and the vignettes and the da-da-da-da-da. And I agree, in the past it was like that, but WWE's really reeled it in. But that's been even Meltzer's complaint. That's been everyone's complaint about Raw. Oh, there's too many recaps and
not
stuff.
Enough wrestling. Not enough
wrestling. Well, what are they doing in the not enough wrestling? They're recapping. They're telling you stories, and what they're doing is like a good Marvel movie, right? Like back when Marvel was really good. It was a movie that if you were entrenched in the lore, you're popping at the little things, but if you just pick it up for the first time, it's just a superhero story that you're like, damn, this is a great tale. That's what every episode of Raw is. That's why a lot of times too they start the show like, here's the dudes that are going to fight in the main event. The reason is, like, if there's a casual sitting there, they see these two guys talking, they're like, oh, I want to see them fight. And then it's like, well, you got to wait till the end. And then throughout the show, you get recaps, and then they ingratiate in your mind like what happened that you could have missed. There's a reason they recapped from SmackDown on Raw, Dave. So you're literally lying. This is you lying and gaslighting and just talking and having no understanding of this. You claim you have. You're a liar, dude.
Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar.
And you're a goddamn liar, bro. Yeah, I'm cooking you right now, son. Just when you thought Phil had no more sauce left for Meltzer, dude, I come and I start banging on them pans in the kitchen, mama. I start banging and clacking them pans. I start whipping.
It will never be over. It'll never be over.
It will never be over, dude, for real, because I'm telling you, this dummy, we can't even get through 3 sentences without me baking his ass. And like, he's just completely lying here, gaslighting everybody, and their booking is assuming everyone is a regular weekly viewer. Hell to the nah, bro. Hell to the nah.
Shut up, bitch.
The packages catch you up to speed. If you miss a Raw, you'll know what you missed on last Raw. Period. So you're wrong, and that's just a cold-hearted cope right there. And then he says the only promotion that caters to casuals is CMLL. What? The only promotion that caters to casuals is CMLL.
What?
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. Well, casually people watch it in Mexico. Glenn Gilbertti, the real Disco Inferno, pipes in and he says, this is ignorance to the subject matter. Dave is so clueless to writing and booking that he doesn't comprehend that the reason I can't do it. WWE presents so many packages explaining storylines is to capture casual viewers. How dumb can this guy be? Exactly. I mean, Glenn just cooked his ass. This is one of the craziest things ever said, man. Meltzer said what again? The GOAT. He goes, once Dave gets a thought implanted into his head, you need to remove his brain and put it back in like Shibata to change his mind. It's so true. So this guy goes, no, AEW lost, blah, blah, blah. So this is in response to the tweet I just roasted. And then here's Meltzer said what? with a callback to a year ago, where Meltzer has made a career off of speaking in absolutes based off singular experiences and anecdotal evidence. Here, Dave explains the origin behind his long-running narrative of lucha being the wrestling style that non-fans will always gravitate to the most. This is a year ago, where Dave's talking about lucha, no matter what is the style fans will gravitate to. This is why he's clinging on, you know? I don't even think it's because...
The best guy is Tony Khan.
And I don't even think he's bought into this fully. Like, I know I say that jokingly, or am I? But, like, it's because his idea, his cognitive dissonance of, like, the bubble of his brain for years thinking this is the wrestling that's going to get over, and it just didn't. It's to blame him, because all these were thinking he was right, and he just wasn't. Not in America, anyways. We're the kids in America. Whoa. We're the kids in America. Whoa.
He just hitched himself to that wagon as hard as he can. He will not unhitch.
Right.
He
And
has
that's why
melded to that thing.
People say to me, oh, come on now, Phil. What happens when Dave stops being a dummy? Well, it'll never stop. I ain't going to keep telling you that we won't stop. But not only that, like, there's a treasure trove of, we could just go back in time and chronicle it all from the beginning. But yeah, this is a year ago. He believes that, you know, lucha is what everyone's going to gravitate to. Meanwhile, the fans weren't gravitating to hologram, to what are these guys called? Gravity. Wasn't that one of the luchas he brought in? They're not gravitating to Commander. None of these guys. So here we go. Let's listen to Dave.
The funniest thing is these so-called experts from another generation who think only the hardcores are going to...
These so-called experts from another generation. You mean like you in the 80s days? You mean like you being 45 in the 80s and still doing this and not knowing that you're the old generation? Jesus Christ.
This, because it's, you know, this, you know what I mean? Because this it's not wrestling style. It's not the wrestling style that they grew up on. Not realizing that other stuff is, I mean, I remember, this goes back.
That other stuff is breaking record gates, doing the best business in history, white hot all over the world, Netflix, all this, man. It's just so funny, the cope.
30 years. And I was dating a girl at the time who...
And I was dating a girl at the time. You know, I can assure you it was actually a girl. You know, not like, you know, a little girl, but like a big girl, you know. Well, not a big girl either, you know, but actually she was like a woman, you know, but not like a TNA knockout or anything like that. But, you know, Frank Mortis, like, what the f is this guy talking about?
Went to wrestling shows.
He doesn't know.
You know, she put up with it. She wasn't a fan of it or anything. Thought it, you know, all of her friends thought it was completely stupid. Just completely stupid. So one day, I was over her house, and it was Galavision Lucha Libre, and her friends were all there. And they this was Super Astro was in the match. I don't remember much else, which tells you how long ago.
Dave, he's about to tell us they popped for the luchas in the colorful outfits doing flips. Yeah, it's because it's a bunch of girls and you're a geek trying to show them wrestling, and all of her friends are over and they all hate wrestling, and she hates wrestling and thinks it's dumb, and she's doing this because somehow you got her, convinced her to blow you, and you're sitting there showing them lucha and they're going, ooh, shiny, ooh, oh yeah, the flip guys are really cool. You know what I mean? Like, yes, yes, in that instance, bro. Yeah, you know, it's like jingling keys in front of a baby. Yeah, it's going to distract them for a minute when they're hanging out with a nerd with new 8,000 papers laying all over the place, and they're like, this could be a fire hazard. Is there a coffee table in this? I'll just sit on the stack of papers over here. Like, Jesus Christ, Meltzer. Come on, man. He's about to say they enjoyed the flippy and the colorful outfits, and you're a nerd showing them wrestling, and they're like, what are we doing here? Dude, this is hilarious.
Super Astro. But anyway, Super Astro was in the match doing all the great lucha stuff. And they're all...
Oh, yeah, they care about the great lucha technical work. No, bro. Look up Astra. I bet he wears pink and does backflips. Like, Jesus Christ.
Looking at me, and they're going like... I'm thinking like, oh, God, they're going to think this is just garbage and the masks and everything. They go like, oh, is this what pro wrestling is in Mexico? And I go, yeah. And he goes, why do they do that here? Because everyone here thinks pro wrestling's stupid. This is great, you know. And for that's just,
So he dated some dumb bitch who doesn't even like wrestling, and they're like, oh, this stuff that isn't wrestling. Hey, we don't like wrestling. We hate wrestling. We think it's dumb. Oh, here's this thing that isn't wrestling. Wow, isn't this great? It's kind of like the circus. Well, we like the circus. We don't like wrestling, though. Why don't they do the circus instead of wrestling? Dave, well, that's a great idea. I'll tell Tony Khan.
and look, you can watch any Friday night CMLL show, and the audience is filled with people who are not wrestling fans because they do shows for tourists, and they don't know anyone.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. They do shows for tourists. So those tourists don't want to go to Mexico and see some Lucha Libre. When I was in Mexico, I didn't want to see Lucha Libre, Dave, and I didn't go get my picture taken with the El Santo Memorial thing, and I didn't buy a Lucha mask and all that stuff, Dave. Is that not what didn't happen, bro? Holy man. Holy. Yeah, Dave, they're tourists who want to watch wrestling. Oh, they don't know any of the guys. Yeah, that's the whole thing with Lucha, right? They all wear masks, and you don't need to know them. And that's like, it's like one of these shows in the territories. You'd get those too.
They probably don't speak
Pop
the
up in a
language
butt
either.
fuck town. They don't know any of the wrestlers. It's just crazy, man. It's nuts. If you put on SmackDown and put right now, and you put on CMLL Friday show, I know what people are watching, dude.
Yeah, they were watching it for the
And
spectacle.
they're out there just having the time of their lives because that is the wrestling that appeals to people who have no background in wrestling. I'm not saying it's superior to anything else. Every style has its good and its bad. But you want something when that was the question that was asked. If you have no TV, if you have no knowledge, no names, and you put New Japan, you put all of this stuff, and have a non-wrestling fan watch it, New Japan.
Do you guys hear what Dave's saying? So if you just go based off moves, so we're not allowed to tell a story. You just go based off the moves. And I disagree with that. I think someone like McIntyre and Punk with no story could go in there and tell a story that'd be way more compelling than any lucha match.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I disagree with that. To say any match. No, I disagree. I think people in WWE would shine in that sense because they actually know how to sell, how to pace, and how to storytell. And I think they would actually give people more to bite onto, in my opinion. But yes, flips are cool to people who don't watch wrestling and don't understand what it really is. Like, what is wrestling, guys? Can we discuss this, bro? It is working a simulated shoot fight. And the reason why they decided to work it was because they realized if we keep shoot fighting, we can't fight as many times. If we work the shoot, brother, we can work twice a day, 4 times a week, go to different towns, draw the big crowds, and it's all about garnering heat to get a mark to buy a ticket. So you can that's literally what wrestling's about. I don't care what anyone tries to tell anyone.
That's
what
bringing
it's
them back
about.
to next week. Yeah.
Dude,
you have a fight that makes
and the
them
reason they started to work it,
enjoy them.
the reason they work it is so that they can do more fights. Because if they're really punching each other and really you strain a neck, you cut your face open. There's a reason UFC fighters can fight 3 times a year maximum for the most part, right? Unless you're like an anomaly. So that's why it's done that way. So like that's what pro wrestling is. And I get it. Some people are like, it's my art, it's the performance, it's the acrobatics. Yes, it is all that now, but it's also at its core, it's about garnering heat and working marks to buy a ticket or buy a pay-per-view or tell a friend or bring 2 more people. And how do you do that? How do you get heat? You tell a story, psychology, you pace the match out, you have a good guy and a bad guy. Right. And you can do that all with body language. You don't need even the promos and all that, but they help. They make it even more compelling because it is a TV show. It's TV, bro. It's TV. Let's Hollywood that up a little bit.
Make them want to come back. That's the whole point. It's all about me. You can't do that. Some shoot fights will be boring because the guys won't have their styles won't mesh, or it'll be too many quick fights and the fans can't get into it.
Yeah. So that's what wrestling is at its core. And Dave's sitting here telling you that. Well, if anyone just sees the moves, if you eliminate all the storytelling and all the good stuff, The moves are what matter. That's literally what he's saying. Dave just talking out of his booty cheek. Sorry, Jake, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, it's kind of like saying, because like for the people that he's talking about, like, they don't speak the language. They're just watching it for the show. That's like saying, like, a telenovela. They're watching that and thinking it's the greatest thing ever. No, they're being entertained by it because they're on vacation having fun. Like, that's not the same thing. That's not someone who's going to watch it week to week and pay money.
Meltzer said what tried to warn everyone about Meltzer in 2019. Meltzer said what tweeted out, everyone wants an alternative, but what people don't want is Dave Meltzer's sole representation of what pro wrestling is under a completely different set of standards. I'm sure AEW doesn't actually want him turning fans against them by constantly knocking WWE to put them over. So he said this when AEW started, bro.
February
Meltzer
9th.
said, what is the mole confirmed? I'm just kidding. But yeah, dude, amazing. This applies. This is insane. The foresight he had on this. He's just been covering Meltzer for so long. There's no escaping it. So shout out the GOAT. Just like you, Dave, just like you. So somebody now read this. This popped me so hard. Whoever did this in the PWT universe, you're goated.
Oh my God.
Somebody grabs a screen grab of Meltzer's Blue Sky account, right? And then they post it on X and they tag Meltzer and go, is this your Blue Sky account? And let's read this profile. Dave Meltzer. So at Dave Meltzer at .bsky.social goes, wrestling journalist extraordinaire, Tony's best friend, creator of the 5-star rating system. My safe place is the Tokyo Dome. I like playing flutes, wine coolers, and baked enchiladas. I dislike WWE trolls, awful, PWT, Jim Cornette, and Linda McMahon. You guys, you know what that calls for? A Dave Meltzer E-flute. Bro, that is amazing. Whoever did this,
just applause.
Bravo. And when I first saw Dave go, I don't have a Blue Sky account, so it's a fraud. So first off, he read the description of the flutes and the PWT and the flutes. He knows the flutes for sure. I know people are like, I send flutes and he blocked me. I'm like, yeah, well, that could be annoying. He still might not know what it means, but God damn, he's got to at this point. Whoever did this listens to PWT Confirmed, and that is amazing. Thank you for that. And I didn't even notice it because a lot of this stuff, guys, I read the thing and then I go, I can instantly determine like, okay, react to this live on the show, or like this, I need to know coming into it. So a lot of the Dave stuff, I can just bookmark and then I freestyle it live on the show. You know what I mean? I don't know if anyone
Best way
else
to go.
Yeah, I just come at it raw, dude. And
it's funnier that way. You get your live reaction. You can't.
Yes.
The laughs are great.
So all I saw was like a Meltzer Sky Social, and then I just see Meltzer going, I don't have an account, so it's a fraud. Just like these old podcasters who are out of touch. Eric Bischoff. Shout out Bischoff, by the way. And so I didn't read it, and then someone pointed it out, tagged it, and it's probably in the bookmarks here, and circled it with red, like a red thing on their phone, and we're like, Phil, like, did you notice? And I'm like, oh God. And it popped me so hard. Whoever did that, man, deserves it. Low. Amazing work, PWT Universe. A round of applause for all of you because you're amazing.
I just hope he did have to research something. What is this flutes thing? What does it mean?
Dude, I get asked every day now. Jake, what do the flutes mean? And it's like, yeah, there's people who tell me, they're like, I caught you at live show number 15, man, and have been following ever since. And I'm like, damn, you know what? I have been doing a lot of these. And to me, live show 15, I'm like, damn, that was already quite a bit into the show, but I'm not even 2 years old yet. So I don't know. The days are going by and still I think of you. But I love singing if you're new here, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. I just appreciate you all so much. It's crazy, you know, how far we've come along. But yeah, the flutes are infinite now. Dave and the internet equals flutes forever.
Just incredible.
No going back. You know?
Yeah, right.
It's hilarious, man. Thank you guys for this. Whoever did that troll is uncanny.
The gimmick is over. That is over.
It's cooked. We have Dave Meltzer responding to this fan who goes, they'll always be fine financially, Dave, in reference to AEW. His daddy owns a damn NFL team. They could have 0 fans or merch sales and never be in financial jeopardy. And Meltzer goes, they are about to be the second most profitable pro wrestling company in history, regardless of the NFL. The daddy this and daddy that era ended when the deal was signed. So I quote tweeted this and said flat out, don't ever, and this, I'm telling you this as well, chat, and those of you listening and watching all around the world, don't let Dave ever gaslight you with this again. He did this for a year with the TV deal, and then even he had to go, well, if they don't sign it soon, and then they got signed for upwards 185, which means it could be less even. Even upwards means more than, yeah, but it also leaves it open and vague to where it could be 150 or 175 for all we know. Like, it's so vague, and WBD owns a chunk. They were hiding $9 billion of losses and from their investors. Like, I don't trust any. Like, it doesn't matter. These people cook the books all the time, man. It's how they get down. And all I'm saying is Dave doesn't know, and he's gaslighting everybody. I've used the word gaslight throughout this whole thing. It's my new favorite word for Dave right now, but it just applies to him because it's what he's doing. It is cope, but I've used that to death. Yeah, and it's gaslighting now. Like, it has been for a long time, but it's really, like, lately especially, it's just saying this so confidently that's clearly not even true. No one can back this up. It's him texting Tony Khan and existing in his own little bubble. The daddy this and daddy that era, sure. And hey, they said he paid his dad back, so I don't know about his dad being all that, but now I'm inclined to think he is still. All I'll say is this, man. When the deal was signed, you don't know. They might get 185. That doesn't mean they're profitable. And Dave's saying they're going to get 250 million is the number he's throwing out there. So he's been wrong about all the numbers. He's been wrong about the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's, the hows. He got worked by a post from a Mark mocked up and put in a Sean Ross Sapp Fightful Discord server. Got worked by that and posted it on the Observer, and a bunch of people were like, what are you doing, dude? In his own community. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's gaslighting. Don't fall for this again. Never fall for this again. We're not tolerating it anymore. Yeah, I go hard on Meltzer now. Usually I'm oh, come on now, Phil. I try and play the fence, but, you know, and I will say when he's correct, but nah, I'm going brutal on this dude, especially after the Dutch stuff. You know what I mean, Jake?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, he's brought all of this on himself because he continues to just... He doesn't change at all. It's all, and for me, it's not even so much what he's saying; it's the tone. Absolutely, where he has to be right. Everybody else is wrong, no matter what, and then he just blocks everybody off if you question him on it because he knows he's foolish. Like when he lays down in on his pile of papers at night that would be his bed. You know, he knows he's foolish. But it's his gimmick. He can't do anything else. He's too far into it. I mean, I don't think he's faking anything. I think he fully believes all this, but I think deep down he knows he's a piece of crap.
Dave Meltzer is such a goof, and his room is filled with so many papers. He looks like Scrooge McDuck's tax guy. You know what I mean? That's what I picture. Like a cartoon of him, like a Goof Troop cartoon, and he, you know, a DuckTales, and he dives off the papers into the papers.
Yeah.
I love taxes.
You know, it's so great to dive in. Yeah.
Oh my God. So